planet.
Similar bombs, any kind bound,
Full of contrasts. Contrasts which only seem to increase and bring even more problems.
President Kennedy is dead.
We can only solve these problems if we start to understand where we came from and finally realize our destination. We therefore should learn more about the deepest aspects of the process of evolution. We should gather insights into the true nature of the universe. Answers are there, waiting to be revealed. We'll soon be able to cope with the greatest challenge of mankind, to create and preserve a happier, healthier, and more understandable world. The way forward is to gather a clear vision on consciousness and how it works. In future films, we'll continue to work together with scientists who will take the insights of Harry Becker's as an alternative perspective for further investigation and writing.
There's quite a gap in science between physicists and other scientists, because the physicists with their quantum theory they realize that things have changed and that matter isn't what we thought it was. It's rather a ghostly kind of field.
Reality goes beyond matter. When we understand this, we realize that concepts of life and death need no longer be confined to the material world. Our consciousness goes beyond that material world. But what is consciousness? Where does it come from? How can it expand itself? The origin of consciousness is as mysterious and miraculous as the creation of the universe. However, we know by now that the universe itself expands and gives birth to new stars and galactic systems. The universe expresses itself to us as matter. Consciousness, however, is a spiritual phenomenon. Physical processes in time and space that we can observe, measure, and study have their spiritual equivalent in consciousness.
What is my vision of consciousness? First of all, it can't be seen. Broader, contextually, I think that consciousness is far more expansive than what we give it credit to. I don't think that the brain and the mind are necessarily synonymous.
So the mind is not material. It's the operating system for the brain, which is material. And therefore, we have to talk about the different dimensionalities of existence.
The brain. It seems our brain doesn't decide how we act in life. That is the role of our consciousness.
If we consider the brain, then we might get somewhere in terms of understanding what consciousness is. And we can turn to neurophysiologists who study the brain, which is a hard science. They are really cutting up brains and studying them also through scanners and studying the blood flow in the different regions and all the kind of things that they do to find out what's going on here, what's going on there. Oh, there's a bit. And they study all this and piece it together, and they come up with some answers.
What you experience by your senses or by your body comes into your consciousness as well. So the brain is a receiver, receptor, and sender.
I think one of the most shocking things I've ever heard about the brain is that only 5% of what's in here consists of brain cells. Most people think that the whole thing is brain cells. Probably everybody thinks that. but only 5% is actual brain cells, which are known as neurons, the nerve cells, you know. And the rest of it's connections. Fantastic, rich connections. No brain cell is more than 4 brain cells away from any other brain cell because of the amazing connectivity going on.
It has an enormous range, like a piano keyboard, and the range that we human beings become accustomed to is like 2 or 3 notes right in the middle of the keyboard, whereas consciousness has these extremely high notes and these extremely low notes. Now, in certain states, we suddenly become aware of this much wider range of consciousness.
The whole issue of can the mind or the soul survive the body? Absolutely yes. There's no question. Once we understand that what the consciousness patterns are, you can upload them into other vessels, so to speak. I mean, the brain is simply a computer. It's a material nanoscale computer. It's a post-quantum computer. And the patterns of consciousness, the direct experience, can definitely be uploaded into another form, just like putting information on a tape, just like what we're doing this videotape here. In principle, there's no reason why that can't happen.
Both the physical and spiritual universes are electromagnetic, and therefore everything is attuned. Action and reaction, cause and effect are ingenious processes originating from thought. Our actions are driven by thoughts, and every thought is energy of a certain frequency, color, and sound. Every thought is a manifestation within our consciousness. Because of the magnetic principle, a continuous attuning takes place to equalize energy. This constant attuning also determines how and with whom you come into contact, to whom you feel attracted.
Mind is the fundamental nature of this world. Mind is primary and the material world is secondary. Mind is actually shaping matter at every moment. This is a terrifically different way of looking at the world. In my view, a very important shift that science is capable of making, I think. It's being nudged to do that by these pioneers. And when all of us understand this better, that mind is primary and matter is secondary, I think it'll be really valuable for all of us, because looking back on my own life, I feel I've seen so much more happiness, and life makes so much more sense when I've made that shift to understanding that my mind and my consciousness, my thoughts, are the primary factor in my own life. And if I attend to them and take care to think good thoughts, elevated thoughts about myself, about others, that changes the way I see the world. And that change in the way I see the world changes the world. It's amazing.